Yes, welcome to a Premier League preview weekend. Finally, after this boring international break, we have finally got the return of the Premier League with the North London derby this Sunday. Myself and Terry are going to be previewing the games. How's things, mate?
It's good. I've actually enjoyed the international break. No drama.
Really?
No craziness. Just no teams letting me down. My team letting me down. Boring games. I've relaxed. I've gone to bed early most nights, barring after Troops' stream. I've been to bed early every other night. It's been a good couple of weeks. But the madness is about. This is my favourite time of the Premier League season because you actually get a real big stint of games now for the next 3.5 months. Cannot wait.
Yeah, it's pretty much flat out now between now and March. And even in that international break, you've got like Congo playing, Jamaica can make the World Cup. I think the final of the Confederations tournament is Iraq versus whoever gets in. But look, make sure you go down, drop a like on the video, go over to both his channels if you haven't already subscribed, and do that. We're going to start off with the early kickoff. Surprise package Chelsea this season for me. They are playing Burnley at Turf Moor. I'll go with your thoughts first. What have you made of Chelsea's start to the season, and how do you think this game's going to go?
Chelsea are about where I thought they would be. A handful of points away from the top of the league, maybe a little bit closer to the top at this early stage of the season, but they're in and around the positions I expected. They are a shoe-in for a top four finish, in my opinion. They've still got their inconsistencies, which make people deliberate on them, is why I don't think they'll win the league. I still think they're a little weak at the back. I still think they need not marginally, but a better goalkeeper that gives them those marginal gains. But I think sometimes I've criticised Chelsea at times this year. I feel that when they went down to 10 men twice against United and Brighton, they almost had no idea how to play with 10 men. And I looked at that as a training issue. You should be working on that in training because it can happen at any minute. You go down to 10 men. But I also feel there's been sometimes a lot of over-analysing of Chelsea, completely writing them off too early. And that's because they're part of that block at the moment that sit between sort of 3rd and 13th in the league, where in the space of one afternoon, you can go from 2nd or 3rd in the league right down to 9th, 10th or 11th. And people are taking that too seriously this early on in the campaign. I think Chelsea have got a lot of excellent players. Esteval's been a revelation. They've had a lot of players out as well. The lap now finding his feet. Palmer on his way back, Fofana fit. So I look at these things and I just think to myself, Chelsea in 3rd place, they'll be happy with that. I think they're a shoe-in, as I say, for a top four finish this season because Chelsea are just better than everybody else below them, maybe barring Liverpool when Liverpool find their feet.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. There's 3 points between Palace in 10th and Chelsea in 3rd. Like, just a question away from it. You know, in previous years, we've seen the Cities and the Liverpools get 99, 97, 95 points. Do you think the Premier League this season can be won in like around the early 80s just because of how competitive it is this season?
It may do, and it's why I've always stressed that points totals are not the ultimate barometer for the best and worst teams ever in the Premier League. And that was never to take away from the Centurions or Liverpool's high points tallies, but it's to respect what the Man Uniteds, the Arsenals, the Chelseas that did in the 90s and the noughties. 1, when squads were smaller. 2, when you can only make 3 substitutions. You know, as examples, it's easier to do that now. Squads are now a lot bigger. But equally, what you shouldn't, it often gets discounted in those City Liverpool title races is the chasing pack weren't as good as they are now. They just simply weren't. When Man United were dominating in the 90s and noughties, you had Blackburn, you had Arsenal, you had Liverpool, Newcastle, these chasing packs. Leeds United had very good teams. Winning those against those middle block of teams was very, very difficult to do. I felt with City and Liverpool in their pomp under Pep and Klopp, there were very few teams that you actually fancied beating them, even if they were away at home. Now, you go away to Brentford, you go away to Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Brighton. That's just to name 5. The viewers will name more. You look at those, you don't know who's going to win, and that's because the gap's closer. So you could be a better team than Liverpool's 1920 side, but you might end up winning the league with 15 to 20 points less because the league's stronger. And that's why I don't look at points totals as the ultimate barometer to decide the best teams of all time.
Yeah, I mean, look at a team like Bournemouth, for instance, that had that really, really strong start, and all of a sudden a couple of results don't go their way, and now they're down in ninth. I actually think Chelsea will beat Burnley comfortably. They still haven't got Palmer. I don't think he's back until early December. I think they'll score, I'm going to go with a 4-1 prediction. I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet. They don't really keep a huge amount of clean sheets. They've only got, I think, 2 in their last 7 in all competitions. I think they drew with Karabakh as well. I think Esteval's going to be, their main guy again. I'm going to go 4-1. And with looking at the fixtures they've got, with Arsenal and Barcelona coming up, they need to build momentum. What's your score prediction for that?
I'm going 3-1. Did you say 3-1?
I said 4-1. Do you know what? We're going to keep it tally.
I'm going 3-1.
And if you're up for it, I'll get a little score chart ready and I'll send it over to you. Whoever at the end of the season comes second will do some sort of forfeit.
As long as it's not eating anything like a hot chip, because I'm old.
No, I've done that before and it's horrendous.
And I've got a hernia and it will kill me. So, yes, I'm always up for that. But yeah, I'm going to go 3-1 Chelsea. I think they win that game. I heard what Nina said on Sky Sports this week, and I get Chelsea fans are kind of fearful of the low blocks and the smaller teams more than the bigger sides. And I understand the logic completely, but I think Chelsea are going to... I don't know if somebody would call 3-1 being a statement, but I think what they are going to do is set the tone for this weekend's games. I think they're going to win and win well, and Chelsea fans can put their feet up for the rest of the weekend and enjoy the games.
Yeah, get your result out early. Bournemouth, West Ham, the first of the 3 o'clock kickoffs. I actually think this is going to be one of the better games of the weekend. Bournemouth love to score goals, and West Ham have got a bit of form recently under Nuno. But Semenyo is the talk of the town. He's just got engaged. Congratulations to him. He's not going to be featuring according to Football with his injury. He should be back early December. Do you think without Semenyo, West Ham stand a chance?
Yes. I mean, you take away a club's best and most potent and most dangerous player they're a good team, Bournemouth. They don't have the squad depth that a Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City has. So, yes, they'll have a chance. You look at the form table, West Ham will only be sitting around 13th, 14th, but it's 2 wins on the bounce, which I'm not surprised to see under Nuno. Could they go there and do it? Potentially. I think Bournemouth are actually on back-to-back defeats. So the last 2, if you look at the form table, actually, they're only separated by 2 places, 11th and 13th. Bournemouth's form hasn't been great. West Ham, I hate the fact that West Ham are now kind of turning it round just before Man United play them. It would have been great to have got West Ham in the opening 9 games of this season because they were easy to beat. They look like they're turning that round. But I'm going to go have a draw. I think this game's going to be a Desmond 2-2.
2-2. I think Bournemouth have conceded 7 in their last 2 games as well. I'm actually going to go over West Ham win. I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham. I think Jared Bowen's get a brace. But I do think that'll be an entertaining game. The rest of the 3 o'clock kickoffs, Brighton versus Brentford. I think Thiago at the moment has got 5 goals in his last 3. I actually think Brentford will turn up to the Amex and steamroll them. I think that Brighton manager's turned out to be a bit of a... What is it? Fabian Hertz, his name is. It's a bit of a... I reckon he's not far off the sacking list. I think Eddie Howe at the moment's topping that list, but I don't think he's far behind.
I mean, Brighton are currently 6th in the form table. 3 wins from their last 6, 2 draws and just 1 defeat. They had a poor start to the season, but it was similar to Man United's, and that they were creating lots of opportunities. Their conversion rate was low. That has started to improve. And that's also coincided with Welbeck scoring goals. And it's crazy what an informed striker can do for any team in the Premier League. But I think they win this game. Interestingly, Brentford's form in the last 6 games, they are 5th in the table. And I think Brentford have been a team this year who have proven me and many others wrong. I looked at their appointment of Keith Andrews, set piece coach, and went, oh no, what are they doing? And what I allowed myself to do is to get drawn into the online narrative, the media narrative, and what I now call the nonsense narrative. Brentford operate like a lot of these excellent teams, and they all fucking begin with B, right? Brighton do it, Bournemouth do it, Brentford do it. where they don't just sign players that fit their style of play. They scout and look at managers who are perfect for the group of players they have. And Keith Andrews has come in, and I think he's been, based on Brentford's size and the money they spend, losing their best two attackers, a set-piece coach coming in and managing the Premier League, to do what he's done in the opening 11 games. You look at the form in the last 6, been fantastic. But I am going to go, all that being said, I'm going with a 2-1 Brighton win.
Yeah, I've just got a feeling that Thiago Damsgaard, Kevin Schade, Jordan Henderson, I think they win 2-1. And like me saying it on the sacking, like next to be sacked, might be a bit of a big statement, but because of how congested it is in the bottom half as well, they're only 3 or 4 points off of 15th. And with the games they've got coming up, they've got to play Villa. They've got to obviously play Brentford on Saturday. They've got to play West Ham, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Sunderland. Yeah, if I was a Brighton fan, I won't be looking forward to that. But I'm going to go 2-1 Brentford, and you're going to go with a Brighton win, yeah?
I'm going Brighton 2-1, yep.
Fulham, Sunderland is the next game. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
See, this is where you talk about form. Fulham, it's 5 defeats in their last 6 games, 1 win. They have, I think they've scored 6 and conceded 11 in that time. And they're going up against Sunderland, who, again, with Sunderland, their last 2 games have been draws, but the way they fought back against Arsenal, I thought was very, very good indeed. Sunderland's start to the season has been brilliant. I actually think Marco Silva is far more at risk than Hertzler that we just mentioned. I think Sunderland get an away win here. I'm gonna go 2-0 Sunderland in this game. How I think the game will go will be a lot of the ball for Fulham, maybe more shots, but no gilt-edged chances. And I think twice in the game, Sunderland are going to catch them on the break, pop 2 past them, pick up another win.
See, they're the 5th lowest scoring team in the league. Only West Ham and Forest are the teams below them that have scored more goals. But I just think Fulham, yeah, maybe I was a bit harsh on Hertzler. I mean, looking at Marco Silva, he should be doing better there. I agree. I'm going to go over Sunderland 2-0. I think they'll turn up, and they've got Brian Robbie now, who come off the bench against Arsenal, the Dutch forward who scored. I think he'll get maybe a couple of goals. And I think if they lose that, looking at their games coming up, he's going to be in huge bother. Yeah, I'm going to go over Sunderland win as well. First big game after the international break for Arne Slot in that easier run. Is it an easier run playing Sunderland? Yeah, it is an easier run. I actually think Liverpool will win quite comfortably against Forest. I know this was the defeat they had last season at home, but I don't necessarily think they're at risk, Luke, playing against Forest. Like with Sean Dyche there, then you know what you're going to get. Low block, defensive, play for set pieces. I think Liverpool will come off the international break, score early, win this game. I think Salah will get a couple of goals. I'm going to go 3-0 Liverpool. And I think looking at their run of games, they've got Forest, PSV, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds, Inter, and Brighton. Now, other than the Inter Milan game away in Italy, I think they should be winning every single one of those games.
Yeah, I agree with the scoreline as much as anything else. They have the 3rd worst form in the league over the last 6 matches, just 5 defeats and 1 win for Liverpool. It's literally relegation form. If you replicated that throughout the whole season, you're going down. That being said, as funny as it is, as much banter as there is in there, in my humble opinion, it isn't going to last. And I look at their next run of 8 games and I see Liverpool winning 6 of them minimum. I think they're going to start turning things around. I think they're going to go on a good run. Forest, even with Sean Dyche, I know they drew United and then they beat in their last game. They beat Leeds 3-1. There's 2 home games, which I think Dyche getting those 2 home games in a row was perfect for him. This is going to be a different kettle of fish, but I still don't think they look as good, although they've drawn them 1-1. They don't look as formidable as they were looking this time last year. So yeah, I'm going to go with a 3-0 Liverpool win as well.
Do you think if Liverpool don't win this game, they're out of the race. Let's say City beat Newcastle. I know we'll come to that in a minute. But let's throw a hypothetical scenario. Let's say Arsenal and City both win. Would you write them off the title race? Because they'd be potentially 10 points clear of Arsenal or behind Arsenal, sorry?
Yeah, if they were 10 points off the top, it would be more than that. It would be 11 points off the top if they were to lose. There'd be 11 points off the top. They would potentially be 4, 5, 6, 7 points off second. Based on that prediction of Chelsea winning, they would be 5 points off third. If on my prediction, Sunderland were to win, they would then be 4 points off fourth. There's other predictions I'm going to make as well. Suddenly, they're going to end up being like 2 points, 3 or 4 points away from sixth, 4 points from fifth, 5 points from it. Suddenly, it's overcoming all those teams and winning the league. It's not if they were second and 11 points behind, you could make a case, but it's all those other teams that are currently better than them. It's the fact there's so many hard games, and then they go away to West Ham, who I look at and go, with a new manager, the way they're making them play, going away to West Ham on the back of which would then be 6 defeats in 7 in the Premier League and needing a win, it changes the thought process going into that game so much more. So it's so do or die for Liverpool right now because they've got the second easiest run of games according to Opta in the next 8 matches. They have to make it count. I think they will make it count, is my personal prediction. But if this game against Forest goes wrong, if they draw, I mean, even a draw, I think still puts them in that predicament because I feel like 3 or 4 or 5 teams ahead of them are then going to pull away by 2 further points. And it's the pressure that builds that might be too much for them to handle.
Well, look at the table right now. So as it stands, they're 8 points behind Arsenal. If the results, let's say Bournemouth win, let's say you beat Everton, Arsenal win, Chelsea win, like you said, if they're sitting around 10th, 11th going into playing West Ham, do the sack chance come back? Are they going to be calling for his head if they don't beat Forest, looking at how far they potentially could be off the top 4, let alone the top of the league?
They could. And you know, before they play West Ham, for instance, Man United play. When they're playing West Ham on that Sunday, Villa are playing. On the previous day, Man City play. The previous day, Sunderland play. The previous day, Tottenham play, who are currently above them as an example. So it's the psychological element that comes in, which is drop more points, now sitting 8th, 9th, but we're a win or more away from catching our opponents. Oh my God, they've all just gone and won again, or extended that lead. So suddenly, on paper, you've got a game in hand, but it's we're 2 wins away from catching them. The pressure that builds up in a season where you haven't clicked, it is very difficult. So beating Nottingham Forest, I think they'll do it, but it's absolutely essential for them.
No, yeah, I agree. If they don't win, I mean, Hassam's the meltdown will be generational if they don't beat them.
It'll be beautiful. But even then, even I'm a United fan. I want to see him lose. Of course I do. But even then, that becomes boring. There's only so many defeats that are entertaining. Does that make sense? Sometimes it'd be better if they won the next 5 games and then had a run of 4 losses again, because the hope dissipates again. But you know, if they don't beat Forest and then they don't beat West Ham, there's no hope to make them run anyway. It's just Ian Bill. There's nothing left.
The last 3 o'clock kickoff is Wolves Palace. I think Wolves are pretty much already down. I think Palace will turn up comfortably and steamroll them. I'm going to go 3-0 Palace. Big Jean-Philippe and Sarr, I think, will score.
See, I'm throwing a curveball in here, and there's no logic to
You're
it.
not backing the Wolves win, are you?
Yeah, 1-0 Wolves. Just doing it. I'm going for a coupon, but it's one of those. I'm putting an accumulator together, and I'll do my normal accumulator, but then I'm throwing one in for £1, where I'm putting a couple of odd results in there. And the thing is, they are going to win. At some point, they're going to win a game, and it's probably going to be at home. And I'm just throwing it in against Palace. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just going with there's no logic to it. I'm not going to break it down. I'm not going to I'm just saying 1-0 Wolves anomaly result.
Have they won a game this season?
No, they haven't won.
They've won 2 in the League Cup against Everton and West Ham.
Yeah, but they've lost 9 and drawn 2 games. Only scored 7 goals, conceded 25. Like, quite literally the worst team in every level. And for that reason, I'm predicting a 1-0 win.
They've conceded 10 in their last 3. That's fair enough. If you get that result right, then
by the way, you're probably right. I'm throwing it in there as
coming later. So
I'm throwing it as an outlier. All right.
Right. Man City travel to St James's Park, in which the media are saying could be Eddie Howe's last game as Newcastle gaffer.
Who said that?
That was all over TalkSport.
Oh, really?
Bearing in mind, they're only 2 points away from the relegation zone.
Yeah, 14th in the form table. Only 2 wins in their last 6.
Look at the league table for them. Look at their last 5.
Yeah,
lost 3. I mean, I think he should be getting a lot more stick. Granted, they've done well in the Champions League. You know, they beat Union St. Gilles. They had a really good performance against Barcelona. You know, they beat Benfica. But looking at the fact that they've only scored 11 goals in the league, which is lower than Burnley, lower than West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good look. You know, I'm not going to sit there and defend it and act like it looks brilliant or is amazing. But there is a big but when it comes to Newcastle. I feel like in so many games this season, they haven't played particularly poorly. I haven't watched them and gone, oh, they've been rubbish today. They didn't create anything. Now, I haven't seen all their games. So I will, there'll be some matches where maybe they weren't so great. But I do look at a team, and I was looking earlier on today at kind of their numbers, as it were. And I looked at things. I mean, okay, they're interesting. The expected goals actually sit around 12th this year, which isn't particularly great. They're not as good as they were last year at this particular moment. But equally, I remember them being poor around this time of the year last year and then kicking on. But they don't have Isak anymore, and that was a big part for them. They haven't been great. But again, maybe I'm not doing coupon buster here. I'm going 2-1. I'm going 2-1 to Newcastle. I've watched them. Do you know what it is? Their underlying numbers aren't that great. Their form ain't great. They're sitting where they sit in the league. But in the 5-6 games of theirs this season where I've watched them, I haven't watched them and gone, they were crap. I've just in quite a few games.
The performances haven't been that bad, and Voltemar's been a good signing, but
yeah,
I can't see them stopping City. The form Erling's in, the fact that he got Norway to the World Cup, 2 more goals international break. You know, the fact that they've got Marmoush, Cherky.
I hear you, right? But if I look at their last 6 games, though, right? So you've got the Arsenal game. Arsenal were the better team, won it in the last minute, but Arsenal probably did deserve to win. They then beat Nottingham Forest, better team, no doubt. The 2-1 Brighton game. I'm not taking anything away from Brighton, but Newcastle for most of that game were by far the better team. They just weren't converting their chances. They played well. They then beat Fulham 2-1, deserved to win that. The West Ham game I didn't watch, so I'm not going to give you I don't think they were very good in that game.
In that game as well.
But yeah, but I didn't watch it, so I don't know. The Brentford game, I was actually on my way back from Ireland, and I had they were again 1-0 up in that game as well. And it just felt like one of those games that sort of, how do I say it? It just kind of got away from them. But again, it was only 1-1. And then you had the crazy incident with Dan Burn getting sent off. And then it was 2 goals conceded after that. And I'm not saying that the red card's an excuse, but I'm not sure if I just don't believe they've been as bad as their league position and form suggests when I've watched them play. And I just think their fans will be up for it. And I am going to, and this is hopeful because I don't want City winning the league, but I'm going 2-1 Newcastle. Come on the Toonami.
I mean, I don't know if City have a fantastic record there. I'm going to go with a 3-0 City win.
Jeez.
I think Haaland, Jeremy Doku, Foden, Cherky, Marmoush is back as well. I think they'll win comfortably, and I think that will be a big, statement of intent. But then we get to Sunday. We've got the main event coming up very, very shortly. But Leeds versus Villa. Villa are actually playing really, really well recently, beating City, beating Bournemouth. Fair enough, they lost to Liverpool. They won in the Europa League as well. Before that, they beat us, Burnley. They beat Feyenoord, Fulham, Bologna. Went to Sunderland and got a point. I think Villa win. I don't think it's going to be an easy game because it never is at Ellen Road. I mean, we only just beat Leeds 2-1, but I've just got a feeling Rodgers will steal the show and Villa will win 2-1.
Yeah, I went 2-0 on this one to Aston Villa. I think Villa are on a great run of form, a brilliant run of form. And again, a little bit like the start of the season, I felt that they weren't really creating the chances, but I just looked at it and it looked like a team that were a little bit stuck in the mud. Maybe feeling a little bit sorry for themselves with, the way they ended last season as an example, but they've got into a great run of form, 5 wins from their last 4 games. I mean, they beat Bournemouth 4-0 as an example. I didn't actually watch that game live. I've only seen the highlights on Sky. Interestingly, though, not that much more of the ball, only 16 shots compared to Bournemouth's 12, but 8 of those were on target. Obviously a very, very good day for them indeed. But yeah, I'm going to go with 2-0 win. And Leeds, I think they started really well, Leeds United, but they're just starting to do what, we've seen a number of promoted teams do this in the past. They get a couple of wins early, everyone goes, oh, and I know Sunderland are maintaining it, but then they're slowly going back to normal. They've got 3 wins in this season, but only 1 in their last 6. So I'm going to go with Aston Villa to nick that, not nick it, but win that 2-0. Yeah,
I've gone Villa win as well. And then the main game, the best derby in the Premier League by a country mile. It's got absolutely everything. The entertainment factor, red cards, big VAR decisions. There will be no Gabriel, but Martin Odegaard is, according to source on Twitter, going to be in the squad or at least back for that game. I'll go with my thoughts first. My curveball is that we will, against everyone saying we're going to lose, we're going to get absolutely battered. I think we go and we nick a point. But bearing in mind, our injury list, Kolo Muani's out until January with a broken jaw. Kudus is a doubt. Solanke's still out of an ankle injury. Bergvall can't play due to the concussion protocol. Maddison and Dragusin both ACLs. Archie Gray, Davis, Bissouma and Kulusevski. We've got 11 injuries and we can't even we can't even bring our squads. We're going to have to bring academy players. However, based on all of that, I think Thomas Frank will get something out of this game. We've got the best away record in the Premier League. We're top of the Premier League with the away record. Beat City, beat West Ham, beat Leeds, drew with Brighton. And I just think without no Gyökeres, they're going to have to play Marino up front. No Gabriel, so it's probably going to be a back 4, I'd imagine, of Timber, Saliba, one of Mosquera, probably Calafiori. I think it's a 2-2 Desmond draw. I think Van de Ven will score again. And I think Xavi Simons will announce himself to the Premier League and we're going to nick a point. Now you're going to go completely against that and say we're going to get steamrolled.
You're getting beat 3-0.
3-0?
3-0. I know your away form has been better than your home form. There is no doubt about it, in my opinion. It is better. That being said, look, you beat Everton and you beat them well in that game. But you beat Leeds, newly promoted. You drew with Brighton. And then the early season wins, you play West Ham when everybody was slapping them up. And then you beat City when they hadn't really got going yet in the campaign in the season. I'm not saying it isn't real. It's the real games. But I think this is what I think is going to start happening with Spurs over the next 10 games, 15 games, is your home form is going to start improving and your away form is going to start getting worse. And you're going to meet somewhere in the middle. And you're going to end up finishing this season where I predicted between sort of 5th and 8th. That's where you're going to go. And
I'll say that, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's not really a dig. I just think Arsenal are just better than you. And Arsenal don't have the best home form in the league, but that's only because City have played one more game than them. As and when they beat you at home, as and when they beat you this weekend, it's Arsenal will then have the best home form in the league. I know Gabriel's out. I know Gyökeres is still out. Havertz is still out. Madueke is still out. I just think Arsenal's squad and team is too strong. And although Gooners have gone very quiet in our online world, I think come Sunday afternoon, they are going to be so up for that game. I think they're going to beat you. Now, it may end up being 3-0. It doesn't mean you won't have your moments. It doesn't mean... I don't think it's going to be weird to say but only real football fans will get this. I don't necessarily think it's going to be an embarrassing 3-0. I think it'll be a competitive 3-0. I looked at you against Man United, and I know you scored 2 goals, and the second one was actually very good. The touch and the turn from Tell was excellent, but that was more our minds. You didn't create diddly squat for the better part of 80 minutes against us. Now, I know you've got an issue at home, but that's against Man United. We're one of the worst teams in the country at conceding XG. Arsenal are the opposite end of that. And I think they're going to have the bit between their teeth. And I'm just going to go over 3-0 Arsenal winning that game, mate. I think they'll beat you. 3-0.
What we need is Liverpool and City both to win to put huge pressure on them. And then if that scenario happens, I've just got this feeling that we're gonna come out of something. And if we do, bearing in mind it can go 2 ways. If we lose quite heavily, we've then got PSG midweek away in the Champions League.
But that's also part of my train of thought, which I forgot about, but I was speaking about it on a show earlier on today. I think your manager's going to take the PSG game more seriously. Because I think in terms of the league, losing this game doesn't derail your season, where another defeat in the Champions League pushes you more towards the bottom end of the pack. Does that make sense? And I look at it and just think, I'm not saying he's going to play a weak team against Arsenal. And again, people are going to go to that polarized view. I don't think it's going to be a weak team against Arsenal and a rubbish team against Arsenal. I just look at it and think to myself, you play 3 days later, you're playing PSG away from home. You then play Fulham. You then play Slavia Prague, who you should beat. I just think to myself, you guys have you got to get yourselves, you've had 2 draws already in the Champions League. You lose that game. You've then got you've got Prague, who you'll beat, and then you've got Dortmund, who are a tough team, and then you go away to Frankfurt, who I know you beat them last year, but you don't really want to be going away to secure yourself in the Champions League. And I think progression, because you've got more chance for me of winning the Champions League than you do the Premier League. And I just got a feel, I want to know who's you taking off a little bit early. With all the injuries you've got, who's coming off early? Is there going to be 1 or 2 players rotated because you're thinking about Wednesday? I'm intrigued by that. But overall, I just think squad depth.
Could Arsenal be thinking the same thing though? With Chelsea and Bayern coming, like with that Bayern Munich game, looking at, they're probably on paper right now the best team in the world. Looking at their recent results,
potentially the difference being, if you look at Arsenal in the Champions League, they've played 4 and won 4, so they have 4 more points than you. They've also got Bayern Munich at home, as an example. They do play on the same day, but I feel like losing to Bayern Munich doesn't derail their Champions League. They then play Bruges, who I think were a good team, but I think they beat them. They then got Inter, and they end it playing Almaty. And I think that even if they lost their next 3 and won that last game, I think Arsenal were going to qualify and get through to the knockout stages, where I think for yourselves, it may be a little tougher. But I think both teams are going to have that in mind. They've just got a stronger squad than you. So I don't think it's about, they're not going to be thinking about Bayern Munich and you'll be thinking about PSG. Your issue is you've got more injuries than them. They've got more of their players coming back sooner than you. So you've got that element there. But yeah, I just think they'll win. I just think they'll win. You could do it. You could do it.
But I don't think you will. Bearing in mind, we've got PSG, then we've got Fulham at home, which we're not particularly great at home. And then we've got Newcastle United, Brentford, Forest, and Liverpool. It's a slippery slope for Frank if we don't get a run of games here. But the final game is your boys, who I actually think are turning a corner now. I know you've had 2 draws in a row, but before that you beat Chelsea, Sunderland, Liverpool, which we all saw. How do you think you're going to get on Monday night under the lights at Old Trafford against Everton?
Well,
what's your thoughts?
I'll throw this back at you for a moment. If the result of Arsenal and Tottenham goes the way you think it will, which again, I don't think it does, but I've said it's plausible. I think Man United beat Everton, and if we do, and Arsenal's result goes the way you suggested, then the best home form so far this season in the league will be Manchester United's, based on the results that we've predicted, because the only teams above us aren't playing at home this weekend. So no matter what they do, in the home form, they can't overtake us this weekend. We've got an opportunity. Our home form's been really good. It's the first time for me, probably since playing Burnley, but that was shrouded and saturated in the horrible feelings of losing to Grimsby. It's the first time, though, in a while I'm going into a game, home or away, thinking, I really think we're going to win. And it's a nice feeling. I cannot lie to you. The feeling of playing a game at home and going, I think we're going to win this game. I think Man United are going to do it. That fills me with joy. The fear that gives me, though, is I hope the players don't start getting carried away. I hope the players don't start getting a little bit above their station, if that makes sense. Go there, be professional, get the win. Monday night, the whole fucking world's going to be watching because it's Monday night. Everyone's home from work. Everyone else's teams have played. Go and get the win. I'm predicting 3-1. I'm predicting another Mbumo performance, but go and get it done, boys. Make it 5 home wins on the bounce. Make it. I've got to tell you what that means. You know, last season we only won 7 games at home all season.
Yeah, to win. I mean, you was only a couple of results away from that guy finally getting the United strand finally cutting his hair.
Yeah,
I mean, you haven't got Šeško, have you? So who's going to?
No, Šeško's. I think Cunha are playing 9. Mount will come into 10 as an example. But I was looking at this earlier on today. This would make us go 6 games unbeaten, and this would be the first time since December. We started it on Christmas, Boxing Day, in 2023, and that went through until February, mid-February 2024, when we beat Luton 2-1. We went on a 7-game unbeaten streak. That was 2 years ago. So obviously there was to go 7 games unbeaten, you've got to go 6 games unbeaten. So that run, there's nearly 2 years since we've gone 6 games unbeaten. So I don't think people understand the importance of it psychologically, the importance of it from a points perspective in the league table, but also growing in confidence. And I feel that if we win this game, Old Trafford starts to become a bit of a fortress again. Because if you look at the teams who've played at home, played Arsenal and Chelsea, title contending Champions League teams, Burnley, who have been newly promoted, Sunderland, who are newly promoted, but they've been a really good team this year, Brighton, who are a solid mid-table team that beaten us there 3 years on the bounce, and then Everton, another good mid-table, top mid-table team. You've played every type of club, every type of level, and to walk away with it with 6 good performances and 5 wins out of the 6, I look at it and go, I think that sends a message to the next team we play at home, which is West Ham, the next team we play at home, which is Bournemouth, Newcastle, Forest, and then City come mid-January. I think you can start to build on that. And that's the one thing that I was so disappointed with last season. The waveform was horrible, but only winning 7 games at home in an entire season is ridiculous.
So bad,
and the fact that we're on, I sort of look at Man United, and I don't know what our home, I actually don't know the answer to this, like in our sort of pomp, and I'll find it out now. But I'm feeling like we should be winning 13 games. If I go back to the last time we won the league as an example, I'm going to guess here, top of my head, and say at least 13 wins at home in that season, 16 wins at home in that campaign. That's winning the league. The last time we actually had a decent season was probably let's go and have a look at it. Yeah, and I think that was in the 2021 season. No, we came 6th that year. I'm getting confused. My years. We came second. Was that that must have been. When did we come second?
Was it under Ollie?
Yeah, but I don't remember what season that was in. I've clicked on the wrong button now. So I was just trying to find the last time I know when we came 3rd, it was in the 22-23 season with Ten Hag, his first season with us. That year we won 15 games at home. So yeah, my point is this. I look at it and I didn't think that was a mad number. I'm honestly looking at it and going, bare minimum 13. But actually we should be aiming for 14, 15, 16 wins at home. Minimum every year. And I feel like when you do that, any team that can create that level of quality at home, you've got such a great chance of making it into Europe the next year. We need to improve the away form as well. There's no doubt about that, because we're sitting there, I think, on just one win away from home all season, 3 draws and 2 losses. We've got to start adding more wins into that column as well. But I'm really confident going into this game. The only thing I would like the club to guard against, the team to guard against, is complacency and thinking we're back. I don't like that talk. Being confident of winning isn't the same as saying we're back and relaxing, because actually when we were at our best, when we were winning the majority of home games and away games, we never relaxed. We were always on it, like we had to be at our absolute best. And I feel like Man United in recent years, one of the reasons we slip up so much and become inconsistent is because we oh, we haven't been beaten in the last 7 or 8. We've won most of them games. Oh, it's only Everton at home. It's only Fulham at home. We'll be okay. And then you lose. I don't want that attitude. But that being said, I'm going with a 3-1 win.
Yeah, I think you'll win. I think I'll look at your fixtures. I actually think you'll win probably 3 out your next 4 or 5. And you're actually 8th now in converted or XG. So you got Palace away. I think you'll get a draw there. But other than that, you've got Wolves away, West Ham at home, Bournemouth at home. I think, and then by the time you play Bournemouth, mid-December comes around, the Semenyo Liverpool links will start probably to really heat up. Maybe he goes off the boil a little bit. I actually think you'll win a lot of your games coming up. But we are going to wrap up there. Make sure you drop a like on the way out. Get over to...
Just want to say as well, so I use this website where you put all your score predictions in. And then you calculate what the league table is going to look like if that happens. And this is what's crazy. If we do win Man United, if all the results go the way I've predicted, that this is how the league table will look after this weekend's games. Arsenal will be top on 29 points. Chelsea would be second on 23 points. City would be third still on 22 points. Sunderland, fourth, 22 points. Villa would be fifth, 21 points. Liverpool now sixth, 21 points. Man United seventh on 21 points. So from second to seventh would be separated by 2 points if it goes out. Then you have Brighton, Bournemouth, Spurs and Palace on between 17 and 19 points, going right down to 11th. So and by the way, even if we changed a couple of them results and went with yours, so for instance, I think you predicted City to win 3-0 against Newcastle as an example. Let's do a 2-2 actually in your draw, 2-2 in the game against Arsenal. What other results did you do differently to me? There was one you did. West Ham to beat Bournemouth.
Yeah, I said Liverpool to win, obviously you to win, Villa to win, us to get a draw, Sunderland to win, Chelsea to win, City to win, and obviously Arsenal to draw.
So if we do yours...
2 points between Arsenal and City, if that was to happen.
Yeah, so if your results come in, Arsenal stay top on 27 points. City would go second on 25, Chelsea third, 23. Not much else changes after that, as an example. Everything else is pretty much the same as we already predicted, other than Newcastle, they'll drop down to 15th on 12 points, 2 points off relegation, 12 games into the season, which could be an interesting one for Eddie Howe. So, yeah, listen, it's gonna be an interesting one, mate. But appreciate doing the show, mate.
That's all right, no worries, mate. We will be back on Terry's channel to react to some of our crazy predictions. But mark my words, Tottenham will get a draw. City will beat Newcastle, and we'll be sitting here come Monday. I'll be happy as Larry going into playing PSG while you're watching Emmerdale. So yeah, make sure you drop a like, and we'll see you all in the next one. Thank you all for watching. See you soon.